Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order. We'll right to our approval of minutes from June 12th.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Berman, seconded by Mr. Ike, right? Yes, thank you. Comments, corrections, questions? I don't see any. All right, all in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
That's everyone. We are unanimous. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Let's go to our updates, starting with our construction manager. And we've got Jason and John with us in person.
Great, thank you, Mark. I'll share my screen so we can follow along. Anthony's not here tonight, so my name is John Downs. I'll be giving you an update, and our site superintendent, Jason Smith, to my left here.
I'm here strictly for color.
All right, so first things first, we'll give you a subcontract and permit update. The fire protection permit remains open. All application and paperwork has been filed with the town, so it's in the town's hand at this point, and we'll continue to track. Item B is our construction schedule update. General note that the exterior wall mock-up is to commence soon. This includes the brick, cast stone, and flashing details. Moving on to Prosser here. Excavations continue on the Prosser site for contract site gradings. Excavations continue for site utility demolition, as well as new utility work. Trenching and backfill being completed for new underground electrical and plumbing work within the new garage slab area. Concrete core of the exterior wall mock-up to be completed this next week. Structural steel installation has been completed. The crane has demobilized, and the building, really, you can see how big it is. It's quite a great scene.
Looks awesome.
Yes, it does.
Detailing moment connections, welding and plumbing of the building is continuing as all steel has been erected. Metal decking for slab on deck and roofing has started. All metal decking has been loaded to their respective floors. So it's just spreading out at this point. Under slab plumbing work at the lower level, west slab, as the garage slab has started, as the electrical work in the same area. Roofing has a tentative start date of mid-July. It's coming up soon, and slab preparation work to start within the next 2 weeks. So we're really excited.
Hopefully sooner than that.
Hopefully sooner, always sooner.
No, slab preparation means what?
For the different, the slab on grade is where we're gonna start. We have a sequence of the different slabs. We're having our pre-install Friday. In the slab on grade, they have a great deal of vapor barrier to install, which has to be sealed to the exterior walls completely. It's quite a process, and every penetration that comes through that has got to be coated and sealed additionally. So it takes quite a bit of while, and then there's the mesh and the rebar structural detailing.
How long, I was gonna ask, how long does the roofing take to go on? And what will it look like for the public?
Initially, the roofing will look almost as if there's a tarp over the building, because the way we're gonna approach it is unique. We want the roof covered over so that we can keep the slab protected and start other mechanical work inside of the building. So we bought it with a 6-foot flap to extend over the outside of the building. So as we do our cornice work and our buildup of the roof blocking and all those systems, you'll see that get neatened up over time. The roofing will go down relatively quickly, but just like the steel erection, the details will take time. There's quite a bit of details in the roof. And then other trades have to finish completely for some of the last details. So they'll demobilize and come back several weeks, if not a couple months later. So they can do all the metal work on the top and things like that.
So is the paper barrier you're talking about?
Yes.
Does that get inspected by someone?
Oh, absolutely. It gets inspected both by the town, who are very strict in that requirement, and as well as our special inspector. Tri-State inspects that as well. There's insulation that has to be installed. There's vapor barrier. It's a multitude of systems. So it takes a while. The entire slab process will take upwards of a month.
All right. Moving on to the Riley lot. Currently, the right of the lot is being used for material laydown of all trades. Sorry about that. I think I lost connection there. Anyway, we can continue on the right of the lot. Currently, right of the lot is being used for laydown material. GeoQuest has provided additional sampling with test data. 2 locations are being discussed with Clean Earth as well as the Bloomfield / Windsor landfill. The bridge abutments on the Riley side continue to be excavated, concrete forming, rebar placement, concrete to start within the next week. Manifold, our site work subcontractor is to install the new structure at the Riley entrance.
That's drainage stuff.
Drainage.
Yes.
They're doing the subterranean work. They're not putting the tops on until they remodel the whole entrance. But they have subterranean structures in place so they can make their pipe connections and then finish the driveway in future date.
Let's see if anybody's got questions on schedule update. Lois?
Thank you, Mark. I'm just wondering what you're thinking between the Clean Earth and the Bloomfield Windsor landfill.
So right now, this is in the hands of our GeoQuest. They're the soils engineer, and they are classifying it, and there's some testing that they have to do to make sure they know what the makeup is of the soil so that we can make sure that a facility can take it. That's what we're currently at the moment. It's a longer process than we want, and we really want to make sure that we get these soils out, but we want to make sure we're doing the right thing as well.
At
But
least
I did see an email come through that the Windsor Bloomfield landfill said we're not taking any more of that material.
That's what I wondered.
yeah, so
That's
they're.
correct, right? Did I see
That
the
is,
right thing?
yes, that is correct. And Andrew was over today and he's re-engaging Becker's and trying to get the same level of material contaminated over to that site and going with Clean Earth with the most contaminated of the materials. Our goal is to keep the price for the disposal as low as physically possible. So if it takes a little more time, it'd probably be worth it. The more Andrew characterizes the soil, the better the disposal method will be.
Did they have any other landfills that are doing the same thing that the Bloomfield Windsor landfill is doing? In terms of capping sections?
There are several towns that do the same thing. Manchester was our first approach, actually. But they're not accepting material at this time.
Okay.
And Andrew is connected to all the different potential disposal sites. So he's doing his best to organize it to where it can go the quickest and the least expensive.
Thank you.
When do we expect the mock-up to be completed?
We are all our masonry is here, and we are imploring Acronym to pour it by Friday this week. Acoustics is mobilizing the week after the 4th of July, and they'll start the framing. We'll do the concrete mock-up for the rubbed face. We'll do the waterproofing. We'll do the cold form framing in that sequence. And then as soon as they're done, we'll give it to Accurate Window to build their window, and we'll have Connecticut Masons build out their system. So I'm hoping by July 19th, I believe that's the date you said.
Okay, just roughly, because
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that as soon as it is complete, that we can notify all the building committee members if they want to go look at it. It's there to look at, because it's a true representation of the exterior wall.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are trying to complete the mock-up by July 19th.
Okay, so we'll make sure everybody knows when it's viewable and
Yeah.
to come see you on site to.
Yeah, they'll definitely want to come see me because we're going to put it in a spot that's in the corner and they'll have to get transit through the site.
Yeah, you can't just show up and walk through the site on your own, so that's what Jason's there for. He's the doorman. So,
And at the community center, I was charging $18 a ticket. I'm thinking of raising my prices.
you go for it.
Inflation.
You go for it.
Inflation.
Bob knows my price.
Okay, any more questions so far?
One question, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Jason, just the stuff at the Riley entrance, I mean, is the entrance still open for,
Oh, yes.
oh, okay, it's just,
So if you go to the site, you'll see that there's new paving. So
okay,
what they did was they covered the structure with a steel plate and then they paved directly over that plate to make the traffic continue.
okay.
And we still have access to the site and it's all inspected by the DOT, the Connecticut DOT.
Okay.
So it's gotta be done exactly certain ways. So, yeah, we have to keep traffic moving.
Yeah,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
more questions so far? Any other hands up, Sharon? I don't see everybody there.
All right. Thank you. We'll move
All
on.
right, go ahead, John.
All right, so section C here comes to our requisition and change order proposals. Tonight we're looking to grant an approval on our change order number 5. Mark, I'll talk about it and we'll vote on it, is that how it usually goes?
Yeah, I can let her probably do it
Okay, go ahead.
as short as possible. So
Sure.
this is all the COPs that we approved last time. They've just all been organized into a change order.
Correct.
An official change order. So I will entertain a motion to approve change order number 5 and the grand total of $2,152.
I'll move.
Moved by Patrick. Second by Mr. Berman. Thank you. Questions?
Is this the same one that we discussed last time?
Yes,
Change-
it constitutes all of the COPs that we approved last meeting. So COPs, change order proposals, then
Oh, this is a particular one, though, right?
Yes.
once approved, then
I'm
become a change order. Well, it's
looking for
got 5
consistency
different
in my vote.
COPs within it,
Yeah, this one
all
was,
of which we approved last meeting.
this one specifically was for the upcharging acoustical.
Okay.
The material. and-
Correct,
yeah.
right.
So we have a motion. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays?
Aye.
We have one nay. Is that a nay?
You didn't have a nay for me because they're all grouped together, is my understanding.
Right.
Mhm.
That was a nay, Lois?
No.
Aye.
I voted against it last time when they were separated out. Now that it's a group and the one that I voted against is incorporated within the group, I am voting aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, so we are unanimous then. Thank you. Okay. And John, you've got one.
So next up, we got our June 2024 requisition. We're looking for approval as well.
Yeah, that's the wrong one.
Okay, so we've got application number 12 in front of us in the amount of $956,936.36, as certified by the architect and also reviewed by Shalana. Yep. Before it reaches us, we have a motion for
So moved.
by Mr. Ike.
Second.
Second by Mr. Berman. Thank you. Discussion, questions? Okay, all in favor of approving application number 12, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Great, motion passes. Thank you. What else you got, John?
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to budgeting / pending COPs. Go through this quick. COP 7B has to do with our children's room MEP modifications. This was some removal of some areas, adding of some areas, and it came to a credit of just over $6,000. COP 15 has to do with the added independent support on the sunshade. Right now, we were showing a budgeted number of $16,811. We're currently waiting on Accurate's engineer and pricing, and I'm thinking we're gonna get something there from them. That's all we're waiting on. COP 17, we are tracking the additional MBC encroachment support. This is for a total of $55,748. That's just the tracking item as we keep going and it's reviewing by us. COP 19 has to do with Desco's installation of the 3-inch blue lamp trim. This is a budgeted number of $80,000 for them to install. And of course, this was after our previous glulam beam contractor dropped his bid. We had to get a new one, but they didn't cover the installation, and now we got a price from another one of our subcontractors for that price.
Okay, so we're not taking any action on any of this.
There's no action tonight, though. Just some that we're tracking throughout. Any questions?
So Johnny, this,
Good.
so this sub is gonna do it for the same amount of money, or are they going to?
Yes, so
do their
basically,
whole estimate over?
so basically they're, we gave them what we needed installed, they gave
Yes.
us a quote,
Yes.
and we're in conversation of that quote.
Okay.
And they gave us an initial budgeted number of 80,000, we're trying to get that as low as
And
possible.
why did the original sub pull there?
At Fano,
Yeah,
Long story short, that was that their bid was a little too low, we think. They couldn't really perform the work with the amount of money that they said they could. It wasn't responsible for that, so they
Okay.
pulled out.
they did the right thing.
okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
Clark?
Yeah, in the last meeting, you expressed displeasure at how long some of these things are taking. You know, and I'm looking at 7B, I think it started when I came on board in January. And the sunshade.
You were a young man then.
It's just, I like down, but it's taken forever to get these things resolved, and I think it's taken way too long. I mean, I can understand having problems with the sunshade, but the other stuff, I don't, I just hope we're making progress, because
Understood.
just meeting after meeting, it just.
I think what we'll do is ask Tom to give Doug, he's the owner of Accurate, a call. We deal with Doug on multiple projects. He's one of the best union contractors for this division out there. But he is a particular kind of guy, and Tom has a very good relationship with him. So I think we should just ask Tom to give him a call and interject and use his role in our company to speed this along.
And with COP 7B, which is I think what you're referring to, we just received final, it was back and forth. We apologize, we understand it took a long time, but we're finally going to be sending it in to the design team consultants and Colliers. To be sent this afternoon was noted, so I think we're very close, but I understand where you're coming from.
I think it makes us as a committee look bad if we're not pushing you to get.
I understand, I completely understand.
Totally agree.
Good, thanks, Clark. Any other questions for Tom? Jason? Okay, you may.
Alrighty, we'll move along to our favorite spot, our progress photos. All right, yes, pictures. All right, so this was the amount of steel in this first picture. That was from when we previously meted on 6/12. As you can see, the roof really isn't finished there. So you'll really be able to see the progress throughout these pictures. And I like to try to map out what you're looking at in a drawings perspective right next to it, kind of as you're viewing in that, let's say in that yellow area, highlighted area. So you're viewing from the south to the north. All right. So progress photos since we got the installation of structural wood beams in the northeast corner of the building. They came out great. They look amazing. I highly recommend coming walking by. You can see them very clear. They look great. Next one is the progression of the underground plumbing located under the garage. We're really almost done with our underground prep so that we can get our slabs for the garage. There we go. Moving along, this was the installation of the final signed beam into the place of the southwest corner. Thanks for everyone who made that happen. That was a great event. That was finally put in that corner,
Yeah,
which is great.
Thank you for setting all that up.
yeah.
All righty, moving
That was
along.
a great event.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Progression of decking on the first floor. What we had to do first is we had to get our deck on that first level so that we could complete that underground.
That created our safe work area for the trade to live.
And then you can see in the next picture, the steel decking is completed on the first floor. It looks great.
Wow.
It's really awesome to see.
And they're doing a great job. This is a lot of detail work that keeps the concrete when they pour the slab from pouring through. And this subcontractor is second to none. I've never seen anybody go to the level of detail that they're going to. It's great.
Alrighty, this is the updated underground plumbing completed and backfilled. Looks nice and level. We are ready for the next step there. Installation of steel is completed from the northeast corner. These are some final shots from both ends of the building. As you can see, all the progress that have happened throughout. Looks fantastic, as well as all the steel columns and beams that are completed. Right now, we're just working on the steel decking progression on the second floor in this picture, as well as just tightening up and finishing up with the steel. Looks great. I highly recommend taking a look if you haven't already. I think you'll be impressed.
All right, any more questions for John and Jason?
I just had a question about the team on the floor with the heat. How's everybody been handling all the heat?
Oh, the heat, yes. Oh, the heat, all the companies that are on site now are meeting with their crew 3 times a day. So they're taking one more break than they usually do. We've had only one instance of somebody who was uncomfortable. It actually happened during the OAC last week. The safe spot for them is our trailer. So if they're not feeling comfortable, they can come immediately to the trailer, get into the coolest area possible and settle down. More importantly, each of the company's safety people came out and personally retrained all of their workers. I actually have a video of that. And that's a very important training. It changes all the time, the more we learn about what heat can do to people. So everyone's very aware.
That's great.
Yeah, it's huge. Heat can take you out like that.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, so let's move to Glenn with an update for us. What's going on?
Sure, appreciate the update, Johnny and Jason. Things are coming along real nice over there. So with Wittenberry Library, the roof has been complete at this time. Also, the rooftop unit, the AC, has been completed. And next week, the automation controls will be completed and integrated into our network, which means we have full control over the tempering of that facility. We're ready to tear into the interior work, and I have a large bid package that'll be ready to advertise within the next 2 weeks. That incorporates 6 electrical job packages ranging from everything from fire panels, EV chargers, lighting retrofits, Ethernet cabling. We're actually working with D. Agostino, the technical consultants, to help us pin down some of the verbiage, more of the technical jargon that has to go into the bid package for advertising. I will be working with Sharon Gentiles Harris and more likely Attorney Crumby on some boilerplate verbiage prior to releasing this bid for advertising. But that is going to be a good bulk of the interior work that's going to be taking place hopefully within the next month. And that's all I have for now.
Okay, questions for Glenn?
Glenn, do you want us to contact the subcontractors that are working on our site? Because that might facilitate some better pricing. If that makes sense, especially the electrical.
We certainly can. And I will probably catch up with you when we're ready to advertise.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Any other questions for Glenn? Glenn, we appreciate all you're doing here, Public Works. I know the next major thing here is really to try and pin down the schedule, and I know you're working on that. So, as things move along here, we'll get closer to knowing more about how it's all going to fall in. So, in the works. Nothing else for Glenn? Okay, let's move to TSKP. We've got Jeff and Abby, right?
Thanks, Mark. So how this are progressing, I think I'm down to about a dozen submittals and RFIs, so hopefully I'll get those knocked out soon. But every time I knock them out, there seems to be more in my box, so I'm trying to stay on top of that.
It's called
DiAgostino and Associates is reviewing their technology package after input from Chris and Glenn. Nick is expected to get us a technology estimate the week of July 8th, but I've asked him to see if I can get it before the 10th, because July 10th, FF&E, our interior, is going to be presenting the estimate for that. So hopefully we'll get both packages by July 10th. And I know the building committee wants to see it a day early, so I'm trying to work on DiAgostino to get everything packaged by then. And other than that, the lead online input data and stuff still ongoing. I think everything else, yeah, I think that's it for now.
I want to thank Jeff for selecting the white primer color on all the steel. Right. And usually, nobody really cares what color the primer is, but in this case, I think it worked out really well.
Looks great.
It's going to be.
I think it's important. I think not enough architects actually kind of give kudos or celebrate different stages of the act of construction. So usually if we get awards, I will pay attention to certain subs on the site. And we get awards for the American Institute of Architects and I like to give some accolades to different subs who I think have done an excellent job on the site. So I think marking that stage in the white is kind of symbolic. It's sort of paying homage to the steel workers and the concrete guys. So for me, it's like a cathedral that's next to the church. And it's a library cathedral of books.
Well, that's Taisu's concept. So perfect.
Love that.
Questions for Jeff? Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Along with the the electronic stuff you're going to be presenting, are we also going to get a list of what they're currently going to be keeping and reusing from what they currently have? We're going to know what that stuff is?
I'll make sure that I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
More questions for Jeff? Okay, Jeff, we thank you, and I see Sean is gearing up there for recording.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, my report is similar to last week. Tri-State will continue to do the testing now that all the steel is in place. All the welds need to be tested. That continues on. All those reports get forwarded to Michael Horton and the building official. Van Zelm is still involved in the reviewing process of the submittals, although that's probably slowed down slightly at this point. And in terms of overall project, I've been in the meetings with the design team, the construction team. They're doing their best to root out any potential issues down the road and mitigate, these potential problems with the soil they've been working on for some time now. And that the process is working. And I said that a couple of weeks ago. Have the design team involved, and they are keeping an open mind to any of the suggestions and things that happen in the field. That's all I have for today.
All right. Questions for Sean? Can't see hands. Can see clerk's hand. How about that?
So Jeff, Sean, so is that at the last owners meeting, we talked about the Riley lot. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, there was a meeting today regarding that. So we did discuss, or the design team and the construction team discussed several possibilities to try and mitigate that, keep it in as minimal impact as possible.
There was an update for us.
Not at this point. We're still collecting information. We have some different approaches. Going to do some, correct me if I'm wrong, some more test holes.
Yep.
And some investigation into the bordering drainage was where I believe.
Which we did take a walk today. We looked at the bordering drainage. Doesn't appear to have an impact. The pipes do look clear, so that's a good thing. We thought there was possibility of one of the main pipes on the Isaac's lot backing up and causing overage of water to collect, but it's not. It's draining freely. It goes right into Washbrook. And then we do have Max Welty coming out on Monday next week to observe 7 or 8 more test holes through the north side of the lot where we have some of the stockpiles. We're going to sort of dance in between. We want to see if the lot itself is acting exactly like the area of concern, which is if you go by there right now, behind our trailer, you'll see where they took the topsoil out that I talked about at the OAC. That is still a puddle. That water is not moving. It's not draining down through the soils. It's only going to evaporate, and that's a bad condition. So Max Welty was here today. The whole team, Jeff ran the operation, and he's got some good discussion going.
So is the issue the soils or the water, or is it both?
It's both. It's both. There's a very high water table, and there's no way around that. And then the existing soils they are not, the clay layer is much deeper than anticipated, and the soils that are there are very fine. There's a lot of organics in them, so they're holding water, they're not draining, they're not permeable, and we have to we can't go deep enough with the build as it's not legislated, as it's drawn now. We have to go deeper. So to Sean's point, we're trying to make a good educated guess as to how deep we have to go to minimize the overage of material that we got to export out. So it's a tricky business.
So that last sentence, I got thrown.
That's construction talk. So our base is supposed to only be approximately 24 inches deep. But at 24 inches deep, when you take the shovel into the ground, it's completely unsuitable. So we would be placing our system on top of an unsuitable, non-bearing surface. So we're talking about going, the worst case scenario, we talked about going 3 to 4 feet deep and then allowing new materials on geotech fabric to be placed and then our system. So we put approximately 2 feet of stone in on geotech fabric from Max Welty's recommendations, and then build our parking lot. And that would be a stable surface. You still would be on poor performing soils, but that 2 feet of stone, just like we did inside the building, you remember we did that in the first floor slab on grade. That's how we stabilized that whole area. It would give us a great platform to build off of.
One of the things that came up in our meeting was the retention pond, and during the meeting today, Rock did point out that retention pond was already incorporated into the design. And there are curtain drains incorporated into the design already, but we may need to enhance those to try and capture more water. So there are some that have been bought in the scope already. We just need to determine where that ends.
Yeah, Max is going to be mapping out the extents of that area, and because right now there's some stockpiling of soil and stuff on the north end of that site, so we got to look at that. And then Rock is going to come up with some alternates, and one of them is to maybe put a swale and drain on the west side of that parking lot, because it looks like a lot of the water is coming from the west side there. But we're going to let Max do his due diligence and let Rock go back after today's Zoom meeting and just figure it out. And I hammered everybody. I said, look, we got to think of something outside the box creative that's not going to be an impact or a cost issue. So looks like it's going to be something. We don't know how much or what yet. So we're trying to still brainstorm as a team and figure this thing out.
As an example, that's the water behind the trailer.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Sean? Not Sean. All right, thank you, Sean. So we're gonna move on to Sharon. You've got invoices for us?
I do. The first one bring up is the CNA. That's Insurance Continental. That was one of those that was included in the package. Everyone get that?
Yeah, yeah. Is that our builder's risk?
Yes, it's a builder's risk monthly insurance for 2789.25.
So moved.
By Mr. Ike, approve CNA invoice. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Berman. Questions?
Yeah, this is the first time I remember seeing this invoice.
It is the first time it's been, I know the pricing was established not too long ago.
I know Nancy's faced some, there was a purchase order done for about $33,387. And so far, we've paid out two monthly amounts, I think one for $16,007, that was the initial portion of it. And then another smaller portion that was done. So now it goes down to the smaller 2782 to run the policy period.
Okay.
But we had a big initial startup amount for it. And I think we were a little bit late and they were threatening to cancel. I remember I did tell Nancy, just send it overnight. I guess it went somewhere else.
Oh.
And they said they didn't get it, so we canceled. They reissued it and walked it to the post office overnight, so it wouldn't cancel on that. So I brought that to your attention and you agreed that
Okay.
this should.
Yeah,
come
this,
up.
any expenditure should come
Yeah.
to the committee.
And so this will be a monthly bill.
Other questions, comments?
But is it retroactive, Sharon, or does it have to go back in time, or are we just starting it now?
Well, this was started a while back. I'm trying to see when the policy was started.
Okay, so we were paying on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, okay,
We
it wasn't
paid-
that it went, we didn't let it run out, yeah.
We were able to get it to them, we spoke with them and we were able to get it to them, so everything was still, nothing got
Okay, so
canceled.
we don't owe the money from
No.
retroactive.
We are current
Okay,
with
gotcha.
that, everything is totally current. And now we go into all the tri-state invoices.
Hold on one second. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of approving CNA invoice for 2789.25? Please say aye.
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 2789 and 25
25
cents.
cents, yes. Any nays? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next, Sharon.
The next is tri-state invoice 13714 for $761.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Berman, seconded by Mr. Ike. So we have a series, how many total?
Six.
We have 6 tri-states in front of us, and all of them are recommended for payment by Sean.
Correct.
That's his job, to go through these, make sure they have in fact done what they said they did.
Yep, they all match up with the reports they provided and the sign-in sheet that Downs keeps in the trailer. So these are all accurate and to this project.
Right,
And
and
to the
then
correct
we're
POs.
also tracking our budget item.
Correct.
for
There's
this
two
as well.
POs currently in place. One from the previous GeoPeer installation, which still has some funding on it. And then this one is strictly for materials testing, and we haven't reached the max on that one yet either.
That's good.
Okay, discussion on the motion? All in favor of approving number 13714 from Tri-State, you say aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. That's 1 of 6. Next.
Number 206 is invoice 13771 for $1,201.
So moved.
One second.
Moved by Mr. Ike, second by Mr. Berman. Questions, discussion? All in favor of approving number 13771 from Tri-State, please say aye.
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 I believe that was everybody. Any nays? That was everybody. Motion passes. Thank you. Next.
306, invoice 13791 for $882.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Mr. Ike, second by Mr. Berman. Discussion? All in favor of approving 13791 from Tri-State, please say aye.
Aye.
We are unanimous on that one as well. Next.
406, invoice 13792 for $1,048.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ike, second by Mr. Berman. Discussion? All in favor of 13792 from Tri-State, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you.
Number 5, invoice 13807 for $1,539.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Ike, second by Mr. Berman. Discussion. All in favor of 13807 from Tri-State, please say aye.
Aye.
We are unanimous. Thank you. 6 of 6.
And this one is invoice 13918 for $692.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Ike, second by Mr. Berman. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye for
Aye.
8.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are unanimous again. Thank you on that.
The last invoice, I sent it out as a separate attachment from the main group. And this one is for the Colliers project. And that's invoice 953318 for, that's for the total of $10,281.55.
So moved.
Before we have a
Not yet.
motion, before we have a motion, I did discuss this invoice with Chuck over at, the boss over at Colliers. It does include a reimbursable for mileage, which is not in the contract, and he has agreed to eliminate it, so we would be looking for a motion to approve this in the amount of without the reimbursement, which is $9,836.
So moved.
By Mr. Ike.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Berman. Discussion? All in favor of approving Collier's invoice for $9,836, please say aye.
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 All right, we are unanimous.
So, I'm sorry, one question. So there is an attachment with the reimbursable expense of the mileage, but
Yes.
it's not saying that it's for 445.55.
Right. So the amount we just approved is without that.
Without that,
Without that, and
right,
he will be resubmitting the invoice, so it eliminates the
This
mileage.
page,
Right.
or at least put zero, so
Right.
I would like to, that's what I would like to
Right.
see, that it's.
I didn't want to hold it up any further
Got
because
it, yeah,
until we were in agreement.
okay,
Well, actually, if we weren't in agreement, I was gonna try and push it through anyway, so we could, the base fee, but we are in agreement on that.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
okay. Any other discussion, questions on that? We're good. Okay, other items from the committee? Hands, anybody?
There was
I'm sorry, did you have more?
no more invoices, but I have 2 things to
Okay.
mention when they're done.
Please.
It's just a mention that we received, I received 2 pieces of approval from CHRO, and they approved the plumbing and Prosser Library plumbing approval letter was received for their set-aside plan. And it's the same thing for their HVAC. So there was an approval letter that was received for the set-aside approval letter. And that was to MJ Daily LLC. It's just information.
Those are available if anybody wants to see them, obviously. That's an ongoing check with CHRO, correct? They report to them on the status of set-asides, et cetera. I'm not well versed in it, honestly.
John is an expert now with this.
Yes,
Approval letters are a good thing.
Great thing. Yes, it's just as it goes on, each sub submits the work and where they break it out, and we get confirmation for this.
And we do hold 2% of the retainage, an additional 2% of the retainage until that milestone is met, so that it's an encouragement to get them to get it done.
What does CHRO stand for?
Commission
That
on
is
Human
correct.
Rights.
Yeah.
Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities.
They do a lot. I didn't know they were involved in this too.
Because of the grant.
Yeah.
Oh, because of the
They have to,
grant.
yeah.
Oh.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Mr. Berman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one thing, if it's at all possible for the library staff to, you know, as they're going through, picking out what new equipment they're gonna want in both locations. Let us know what they're not gonna be using that they currently have, and how old the stuff is that they're not gonna be using. It would be helpful to have that information.
Just an inventory, a technology inventory.
Techno inventory. I mean, I'm sure they
Well,
have.
that's all tied in with
Right.
with our budget.
Yep.
You know, so we know what we're gonna be spending on technology.
And so we know what's gonna be reused, and if it's not gonna be reused, you know, if it's relatively recent, then why isn't it being reused? For some person in the last 2 years, other than computers, why isn't it being reused? That's something relatively new.
Okay. All right, I'm sure we'll have a chance to review
Yeah,
all that
because
stuff.
we know our budget.
Chris is on it.
We know our budgets are gonna be tight, we know we're gonna be
Right.
scrapping for funds, dollars here, dollars there. So that I think is gonna be a crucial piece when we get down to the real nitty gritty.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris, maybe you and I can discuss this maybe tomorrow or the next day if you have a second, just to figure out if there's anything being reused. I know we've been talking a lot about technology for browser, but it'd be nice to have a little discussion so we can answer Bob's query on this stuff. It's my suspicion is that most everything is going to be new. But Chris, we should touch base, tomorrow.
Yeah, I've already got a list, and I think where I am reusing is mostly at McMahon, just kind
Okay.
of out there, but some at Prosser, very little because we've held off on buying this stuff for a long time.
So maybe we can work together and get a list done. Then I can email it to Bob.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Any other committee members? Any hands? Clark.
We haven't talked about, all right, maybe I missed it, the move or the staying, is the temporary library staying where it is?
I think we're waiting for a schedule here. So we can make decisions about what happens. Because we really don't know at this point when McMahon's gonna be finished. I think we all need to know that first, right?
So what's the deadline that we should have to know that? Like, what's the sequence of that decision?
It will,
We've got time.
not a lot, not a lot, but, as Glenn and DPW get these bids together, I think once we receive the bids, we'll know whether or not we're on budget. But the other thing is, we'll know what the schedule will be at that point. So, Glenn, maybe next meeting, you can be kind of laying that out for us where we're at. And hopefully in sometime over the summer, we'll know, those things that we can talk about that. I don't wanna, it's a lot of what ifs at this point. So, yes, it does need to be addressed, but let's find out when that facility is gonna be done.
Well, the current
Just
lease
know.
expiration is August 31st.
The current, correct. And, so we have in our budget right now, in the project budget, we have 2 months of extension money for that. I know the town manager and town attorney were working on seeing if we can negotiate longer, stay there at a better rate of some kind. So they are working on that. So that's in motion too. So hopefully I would like to see us make that decision probably sometime in August, early August. Very
No
early
later than
August.
Like the first meeting.
I mean, we already know we're beyond, our current lease.
Yeah.
We know we're not moving out August 31st. So those are all the moving parts. Thank you. Other comments, questions from the committee?
Mark? Mark,
Go ahead.
on that topic, I've always thought that it would be a good idea for the community as a whole to be using McMahon for a while so that they got used to doing it. As opposed to having a choice. Am I muted? No.
No, we got you. We got you. Yeah.
So, I think the more people who use McMahon, the better for a while. So I'm in favor of having, well, saving money on the lease, but also making sure that people know that McMahon is there and that it provides wonderful services.
So noted. We'll put that in the mix as we figure out what we're doing here.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we're good. So upcoming meetings, we're into July. We've got the 10th and the 24th. And we move on to public comments. Sharon, anybody from the public with a hand up?
None.
Okay. Do we have people from the public attending?
Yes, we
Okay,
have
well, I thank you
7.
for joining us.
Yes.
And no questions, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Berman, beat Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright for the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Wow, record time.